Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Small Business Small Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, and it is such a pleasure to be here recording again in my little office/studio. So I don't have like the official full-blown studio, and I didn't all the way convert it today. So I'm here at the office, having a great day. The sun is shining, and so it's a great day in Louisville, Kentucky, where I am based with Eagle Eye Strategies as the Chief Strategic Guide. Today, on Small Business Small Talk, this episode, you get just me. So I wanted to be able to come on and do like a year in review, if you will, of, some of the guests and some things that have been going on with me and the stuff I've learned over the year that I'm going to be able to apply to my life moving forward into this new year. So as of today, it's the 5th of January when I'm actually recording this episode. I am already running late. I don't know about any of you out there or you just went, what the hell? It is already 5 days into the new year and I'm already behind on pretty much everything. So it's not that I haven't been doing stuff. I am working on things. There's just so much going on, which is usually the case with me. I overload my plate all the time, but I have help now. But part of putting more things on my plate means I'm also helping them help me, help them help me, help them help me kind of situation. So we're at it. We've hit the ground running. The plan, while it's still being planned out, is already in motion. So this is what I have always tried not to do. And I don't let my clients do this. I don't let them do this at all. This is why they hire me, to do their strategic plans for every year. We think it all through and we get it wrote out. And then we're able to immediately start working on it and know what we're tracking. And we're revisiting this on a constant basis. This falls under do as I say, not as I do. Don't watch me. I'm working on getting it there is the nice thing, because I've been doing everything in my own business for a long time by myself. Now that I've got people, because I could keep those basics kind of in my head, and now I've got people. I can't stay in my head. That way the business can be running without me every single day, and I fulfill different roles that I have been fulfilling, or even just like go deeper in the role that I'm really good at, this being one of them. I'm good at talking. I'm also good at sharing what I've learned. I know that part of what my clients love about their Christy time is that I just share things that I've learned and how can they apply it to their situation. Like it's kind of a mentoring moment. I'm just sharing with you what I know to work, or I've learned from others that works for them, and all of that. It's just this nice little circle. So what you get into with Small Business Small Talk, this show is really all about that concept. It's me interviewing other business owners to get them to share their stories, their learnings, best practices, all of that kind of stuff. Because it doesn't matter what the industry is, there's always something to learn that can be applied to what you do in your business. And the other thing is just being able to know that you're not alone. A lot of our challenges, we all face those same types of challenges. Can we make ends meet? Like, can we pay our people? Can we get them the benefits that we know they need? Can we reach that goal? Like, one of my ultimate goals, my objectives for real, this is not playtime. For real objectives is that my team works part-time, earning full-time pay, so that we all have, what they've labeled as work-life balance. I want them to enjoy what they do so much they don't have to do it as much as they think they have to. And it all just generates the revenue that is needed to be able to grow the business and do more great things out in the world. The other thing that my business is going to focus on this year is what other organizations do we want to partner with to be able to give back in the world? When I say give back, it could be, our time, our talent, our time and talents, or, ideally we'd move into the philanthropy arena. We are not there yet, so please don't ask me for that. I could give you I don't know, I might have a quarter around here somewhere right now. No, I joke. But there's so many great organizations locally, regionally, statewide, nationally, internationally that I know me and my team want to be able to have some impact into, to help do good in the world. And so that's a lot of what our objectives are wrapped around. And so some of the things that I've gone through in 2021 are setting us up for success for that direction. Now, for Small Business Small Talk, man, we, as a recap, if you have not gone back and watched or listened to the episodes that we've had, just in 2021 alone, we started with Maria Mears. She started her business with the pandemic, and she has a local magazine, and it has taken off. Her community absolutely engages with this magazine and all the events that they do. She is doing fantastic. Then we have Tara Branch, travel agent, also started right before the pandemic started. And she's also navigating still continuous changes, because you never know if you want to do international travel at all, and that means anything outside the US. It's all different. Everybody is different. There's different regulations. There's different expectations. Everything's different. And so she is navigating that change on a daily basis. So she's not pulled her hair out yet, which is good. And she's also working with some groups to be able to do some really fun, cool things, like safaris. Sorry for that pause. I just had to sneeze. Like safaris and really cool experiences, not just your what I think are basic cruises. I say that, but I've not actually been on a cruise yet. So she and I actually got together and did a 6-episode podcast of Two Chicks Tripping, because part of what I do with my business is I love to field trip training programs and strategic planning facilitation. And so I handle all of those details. It's just turnkey for leaders to be able to just take their teams away from the four walls that they know every day. Or especially if you're virtual now, getting everybody in the same place, then you go have some fun while you're at it. That is my favorite way to do it. And I like to have people who think the same way. So next up was Chris Wise. Chris is an attorney that is changing the way you hire attorneys, basically. And so he's in family law, and there's throughout his year you think employment and stuff gets crazy. We know that we're in a time of what they call the Great Resignation. The emotional and mental effect that this pandemic has had on everybody, individually, and how that ripple effects into families, communities, organizations, all of that kind of stuff. Let's not forget that when we say families, it has caused a lot of disruption and dissolvement. Is that a word? A lot of chaos and consternation. And so when you have a good-hearted family attorney, such as Chris Wise, who is making it easy for especially those lower income people to navigate the legal side of separations and custodies and all of the stuff that he can't talk about publicly. Those are the things that the business side of his firm was very fascinating. And he has to deal with the business side of things while he's trying to help people navigate relationship. Then I got to meet Deidre Moultrie. Shingle hanger. Ha! Such a cool idea. You have a side gig, you need it to look and be professional with all of how to invoice people and how to schedule people without building out this massive website. And like, it's a great way to turn your side gig into an actual business. And so Shingle Hanger is great. Go check that out. Check out that episode with her. Explains a lot. And then my friend Jairus Swain. Oh my gosh. Oh, I seriously wish he was still closer in my area, but he's not. He moved to North Carolina, and he's doing great. Like, I'm still jealous. And if he ever puts another picture of his feet on a beach, I'm going to be upset. Because although I got my beach time in over the holidays, so I'm okay for the moment. But he firefighter turned business owner, and he does CPR and emergency kind of things, and he's such a good guy. I loved hearing his story about and his partnership and what it's like to navigate 2 locations. So between North Carolina and this Kentuckiana region. So Louisville is right across the river from Southern Indiana. So he works both sides of the river. Then we've got Blake and Hannah Hatton, who does virtual solutions. They do virtual assistant kind of work. Project management, virtual assistant, like anything, and they live virtually. Like they're RVing it. This is fascinating to me. I love the whole freedom entrepreneur concept, and you're still doing professional, legitimate work. Like, this is not I made a widget and it sold millions of dollars worth of volume. No, this is a service that they're doing from the road. This is fantastic, all virtually. Another friend, John Cahill, talking about, and he is a financial manager, wealth manager, financial investor, however you want to put that. But I love his style. And so we talked about just how he functions in the business. Some financial advice, for sure, but you can't talk. So there's a couple of industries that if I ever have them as guests, they don't get to tell me a whole lot specifically about what to do as far as what they would recommend. That's attorneys and financial people. They can't do that. So we don't get into that, but it's still great conversation and some things to think about as you're getting ready to, or you're currently investing. Like, how do you navigate getting ready to make that change? And then, of course, my buddy, my friend, Christina Stubblefield, and I, marketing, man, we dove into, I loved hearing her story. She's mashed up her love of technology and the wedding industry. And so she's focusing on them. She and a couple of wedding industry cohorts now also have a podcast, The Ring, The Bling, and All of the Things. So if you are interested in doing weddings and you need some tips and tricks, help on all of that, check out that podcast. And then, of course, me talking about change is constant. It's really the only constant we have in life. Then my friend Dee Dee Taylor, 502 Hemp. If you're not aware of what's happening in the state of Kentucky and a couple other states, I'm sure, about the Delta 8 versus like the intricacies wrapped around cannabis and that industry, marijuana, cannabis, the CBD oil, the different deltas of oil, like it is science-y very much. And because of just the intricacy of all of it, there's legal things that tend to happen. And so in Kentucky specifically, it was just got to be a mess. Like, it is full on drama should be a movie mess. Go listen to that podcast if you want to hear some good stories. I've had some great conversations in all of these episodes throughout 21. It has just been one of the most exciting things I've done all year. Serena she is Made For You podcasting in Britain. So my international friend, my international audience over there, Serena and I talked podcasts for a bit, and also like the state of what her area is like now. a year after the pandemic starts. And then Jeff Murphy, the second episode ever from the Home Office podcast. The background, and I'm so grateful for his grace and patience with me on setting up this whole area to be able to even do that podcast. So this is where, like, how flexible are you in being able to get a project out without it being super perfect? Because having him in this office and the background, I didn't have a fancy background up. Like, I'm trying to make it sound okay and look okay, and I couldn't have both. It sounded great. The environment was like, ugh, a little sketchy, but God love him. I loved this conversation. His take on leadership and culture just fired me up, because I know my own experience as being part of other groups. I am looking to the leader to take the lead and do something with all of us that's exciting and fun and forward moving. Now, I expect a lot. I understand that. But that's what leadership is about. Like, you want to engage your people to go somewhere. And he talks about how building that culture is extremely important. And it is. Back to that whole, right now we're in the great resignation. People are sick and tired of other people's bullshit. This is where we are. And if you don't have honed leadership skills, if you are not constantly honing leadership skills, you need to be trained, then you're going to miss out. Your people are going to end up leaving. If your people are leaving by the droves or they refuse to come back, you might want to check yourself. What is it about you that's not getting them to come back? Start there and then figure it out. Ask them, and they'll tell you, oh, I'm not making enough money. Well, okay. Figure it out. What is reasonable for what that is? If you don't think that it's all on them. It's not. It's you. It's your business. It's all on you. So you need to take a strong look at that. Okay, that's my little soapbox for the moment. We might come back to that. So my next guest was Brittany Murphy. Websites, man. SEO and websites. If you want some marketing tips and how to get why it's so important, basically, to have your shit together online, listen to that episode. Brittany Murphy's fantastic. Pixie Paula, this is a repeat, just in full transparency. I pulled her back out of the archives and pushed her back to the top because she's such a fascinating figure. Pixie Paula, she's just awesome. High energy. Awesome. So if you want to hear a great story, she does she does distilling. She has a magazine. She's does a lot, and how she manages that and has a strong faith and a ton of kids. It's an all family owned business. Go listen to that story. That'll energize you or wear you out. One or the other will happen. Then a new friend, Tristan Wright. He is in Australia, fellow coach, and so he has evolved to grow. So we talk about, and of course he calls me out on a couple of things. So if you like that sort of thing, if you listen to these episodes to hear me get called out, check that one. AJ Orr talking technology, and really not just technology, but hearing his story and building it. And he's also an author. He wrote, oh my gosh, I lost the book. It was sitting here on the desk. Oh, The Art of War and Technology, I think is the title. And I'm halfway through it, and it's just fantastic because it's not just technology. It's how we think about ourselves, right, in the technology. And we're going to get to that, the mindset and all that kind of thing in a bit. Terry Callahan, absolute joy. She has a new invention, and I think it's pretty daggone cool. She's still in the beginning stages, and it is the secret shelfie. It keeps the clutter up off the floor. Oh, every hotel needs this, especially those that are like using 20 pillows. Where do you put them things? You don't really want them on the floor. So you just pop down this. It's awesome. Go listen to this. She is a hoot and a half. Rick Smith. Oh, just, I was in awe of everything he was telling me. Multiple book author, PR industry for decades. He knows his stuff. Jason Kerner, Perfect Pitch DJ. That was just a blast to talk about, how do you get people engaged in an event? Like, what gets them excited? Why would they even show up? Well, and I love whenever these people are telling me their story is part of it. What even got them to do that? Like, how did you pick this to do for the rest of your life, or at least for at this time in your life? And of course, Joel Halsey. And I say that, of course, Joel Halsey. Joel Halsey is a friend, and he's a photographer, and he's very good. And it's just, he makes you think in terms of, don't waste the memory because you think it has to be perfect. People don't care whether or not you had an extra 10 pounds. They want you in the picture, because when you're no longer there, it's not the 10 pounds that they care about. It's you. So thinking about, just the perspective of how important photography is. It's not just that selfie. It's the importance of that photography. That's a really good one. Dean Wagner, Authentically American. I was determined I was going to be the one to interview him, because I'm willing to have different hosts when necessary to be able to keep things on track. But I really wanted to know more about Authentically American. He's just down the road from Louisville. He's in Nashville, and it's all USA products, made in the USA products. And I'm like, how do you manage that nowadays? So that was a really great conversation. Again, all of these have been great conversations. Jeremy Shear, another podcaster, his podcast business, focuses a lot on internal podcasting for corporations. And I'm like, that's actually a really good idea. And hearing his background, I would never have thought he would have gotten podcasting. So you have to listen to that one. And then another technology conversation, which has been kind of surprising how fun these are. Jeff Chandler with Z-Jack Technologies. And then, of course, OMG, holy cow, I got the opportunity and the honor and the pleasure to interview Jordan Babano. Former NFL player for both the Seahawks and the Titans, but he owns his own business now, and he is an author and a speaker and a trainer and coach, and talk about like corporate coach. He is just, he was fantastic to talk to. I loved it. So these are the things that you get out of small business small talk. If you're like, yeah, she's the most boring person ever, there's not enough substance in these. You know what? I get a lot out of it. I really hope that you do as well. So in that respect, go watch and listen to some of these episodes. If you go to smallbusinesssmalltalk.com, it's all there. You can check out episodes individually. When you find the one you want, if you would rather listen to it, there's options of where to find them to listen to. So do that. Go check out those episodes from this last year, because they have all been they've been super great. I can't I can't talk good enough about it. And I'm not saying it just because I did it. They were fantastic conversations. I've learned a lot. And so the other thing about the start of the year, most people still will do resolutions. I am not most people. I don't care about resolutions, because I have objectives I need to meet within my plan. I already have a plan. I don't need additional resolutions on top of that. So I do a couple of things I wanted to bring up. One, I instill a word of the year. I've done an episode before about that. And my word of the year for 22 is better. better, better. It's got to get better, right? Everything is going to be better. It's all going to be better. Everything I've been doing and touching, how can I make this better? How can I be better? How can the world be better by me being in it? Better. So I was like, better keeps coming up in conversation. I'm sticking with it. So better is my word. It's forward moving. It's not stagnant and it's not fluffy. It's just better, just directed to the point. So that's been my year, because I say a lot. A lot of people do, and I'm solid with it. Last year, my word of the year was rhythm. I needed to create some good, solid systems for me. I needed a rhythm of life that I enjoyed, that I could keep that pace with. Did I find a rhythm? I had spurts. It's more like a jazz song instead of a, waltz. But I found every once in a while it would kick into a good solid tune. That's the other reason I picked rhythm, is because it is musical. I wanted to spend more time on the musical side of me. And did I? No, I failed miserably on that. However, it's not a failure. It's at least still there. I enjoy music. So there's that. This year with that word of the year, so typically what I do in this process is that particular word I've picked, so better, what can I grab from the previous year to put into the start of this year and build from it? So make everything from last year better. This is what we're going to do. Because rhythm was my word, right off the bat, I had notes. So if you see me in this video, I'm actually going to be pulling from my personal journal. So the other thing that I do throughout the year is I keep a journal. I don't necessarily do it every single day. I could totally be better with that. See how it works? That was just so easy. I could be better at everything if I just worked at it. But I do keep a journal throughout the year, and it could be from anything. Something, I had an aha moment for the day. I could even just track the weather that day if I wanted to. Or I could be like, I was lazy today and did nothing. So whatever I want to write in my journal, it's my journal. I get to do whatever I want with it. I will take notes from webinars and sermons that I listen to or watch, and just, whatever. I will draw out what I'm trying to get accomplished for the month. I will, all kinds of things go in here, latest quotes. But I made a note early in January that I needed to create a rhythm of thoughts. A rhythm of thought. So if we think about all of those episodes I talked about and the people I've interviewed with, every single episode we have touched on thought processes, like how we're thinking, and positive thinking, success-minded, like something in our brain. We have been telling ourselves, whatever, self-talk, thoughts, whatever you want to call it. I needed a good rhythm of this. I know I'm not going to have perfect thoughts every moment of the day, but what does that rhythm of good, how do I know when I'm on a downbeat that I need to come back up? How do I know? And so just trying to pay attention to my processes and what those thoughts are looking like on a regular basis. Do I have more negative thoughts than positive thoughts? So just really paying attention to what I'm thinking about. Think about what you think about. That is such a good practice. So that was one of my first notes, because underneath that I have, you cannot defeat what you do not define. I'll repeat that. You cannot defeat what you do not define. And this came from, I think a Craig Groeschel Life Church message. So sourcing it correctly. And then I I finally took some time off. It had been a few years since I took an actual vacation. And I decided I was going to go to Disney. It is my favorite go-to. I would be there at least 4 times a year because it incorporates outside and fun and exercise. Like, you are going to walk miles every day. You're going to have physical movement, fun, and it's in a fantasy environment. Like, you get to escape the world. It's like it's perfect. It's all in one. It's very efficient about that kind of a vacation time. But my experience with Disney this past year was really weird in the sense of, I don't know if I waited too long. I don't know. Like, there was just so much going on. I ended up crying. I can talk about it now without crying. It was just ridiculous. And I would get so mad that I was crying. I would cry some more. It was that ridiculous. I also realized in my thought process, I was getting so worked up, I could barely make decisions. And it got to that point of, I had a day at the end and I just worked myself up so much. I was like, fuck it. I'm not going to try to figure out going to the beach while I'm at this. We're going to sleep late. I'm going to have Mickey waffles and I'm going to the movies. That's it. I'm not doing anything else. And it turned out to be, that was exactly what I needed for that particular day. Give me a rest day. I didn't have to drive enough. Like, it was all good. But in the process of getting there, I had worked myself up so much, it almost made the whole thing not worth it. So some things I learned about myself were just really important because I have not decompressed. So for all of you additional type A people out there like me, highly driven, I'm using air quotes here, high performance people, you need to have purposeful time to decompress. It is an intentional part of creating flow for your life. I have been missing that part. So I'm getting better. See how that works. Getting better at scheduling decompression time. Now, it's taken me all year, but I, on purpose, when I took a mother-daughter trip with my mom, she and I are complete and total opposites. We still love each other and we actually like each other, but it was 6 days of total opposites each other. She likes, I need coffee for your benefit in the morning. She does not. So there were 6 days of that. I knew when I came home, I was going to need at least a day to just literally do nothing. I don't need to be working. I don't need to be planning. I don't need to be doing anything. Just let me decompress from all of that. I didn't do it the immediate day after, but it hit me 2 days later. I was like, okay, today's the day we're going to do that. So something I've learned about myself, right? As I'm paying attention to myself, my thoughts, and how am I showing up for others in the world, the level of self-awareness goes up, my intention goes up, and the relationship I have spiritually with God goes deeper. Let me tell you, because I am not doing this by myself. I'm not going to go into the deepest, darkest depths of me by myself. That is like that. It's the symbolism that is in Return of the Jedi when Luke goes into the cave. Was it Return of the Jedi? No, Empire Strikes Back. When he goes into the cave to face his fear, that is extremely real. It is a dark cave, and you're basically facing yourself. It just is what it is. But you have to be ready for that experience, the aftermath of that experience. The immediate facing of you and your fears can be, hurtful, but then what? You have to be willing to go through the entire process of what is that now producing in your life. Well, you're paying attention more, so pay attention and then do. Now that you know better, do better. Yeah, of course I threw that in there. Okay. So then I got to the point of, okay, I really want to exponentially grow this business. I want to make a huge positive impact in the world. How can I do that? Well, I have issues. I have my own issues. We all have issues. I just have mine more defined now to work on. But there's a good coaching question that gets asked to people. What would my life be if there was nothing holding me back or in my way? If you had all the money that you needed, you had all the resources and all the time, and you knew you could not fail. So what would my life be if there was nothing holding me back or in my way? And I wrote 2 pages of stuff in my journal about that. I was like, oh, now my problem is I see this in preparation for this episode. I was like, I didn't go back to it. I called myself a name, and I need to stop doing that too. I realize it. I was like, you ding dong, you didn't even review this. Like, this is the stuff that needs to be created into a vision board and put in my face all day, every day. These are the things. I get it. This is what I tell other people to do. So right after that, I was going through this process. All of this was like boom, 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 one thing after another. I did an event. I got asked to speak for an event called Inspire, and it was about a professional woman sharing her story to our local chamber. And I'm like, I can do that. They had asked me to do it like in April or May or something. Actually, they had asked me months and months prior to the event. I'm thinking, sure, this is not a problem. And the closer to the event, I was like, holy crap, this is my story. This is not me saying, oh, this is how you do marketing. This is how you do strategy. These are things leaders need to know how to do, like I would normally speak on. Nope, this was me sharing my story. And I'm like, oh, crap. That's when it hit me, and it was rough. That was a very, very, very rough experience. And if you did not get to partake in that, I am not doing it again. It was rough, but I totally did it. The end, I finished with my Wonder Woman cape and jewelry. I totally did that. So if you're on my social channels at all, you'll see that the money shot that Misty Enright took of me flopping out the cape, and it is full on out. It's a beautiful shot, beautiful action shot. It's perfect. I look like a walrus in it, but it's perfect. It's a perfect shot. It's one of those things where like you overanalyze stuff. So as a speaker, I'm like, how did I look in this? I understand I don't look as professional as some people would like me to look, but I also don't need to like bend. I see how I bend my chin back for some reason, and now I like have just a neck. I don't even know what happened to me on that point. I don't know what I was saying. It just I lost a neck. I lost my chin area. I don't even know what happened. But the cape looks fantastic. So then we have, moving into the summer, another great quote that I found is that jealousy is the trophy that mediocrity gives to excellence. And I say it again. Jealousy is the trophy that mediocrity gives to excellence. And that was from Pastor Robert Smattis, I think. Yeah. And then I wrote a note under that. I have defined myself by my dysfunction. Yeah, just a lot of really great self-awareness, like ahas of, oh, this is what I've been doing to myself. Stop that. It's got to be better, right? It's got to be better. And I've learned from all kinds of different places. So I love to learn new things. I love to learn it enough that I can I can do that. And so I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I actually am a master at a couple of things, leadership training, EQ, which goes hand in hand with the personality stuff, marketing. So I've got my small handful of things, but the thing I wanted to be a master at, no, I haven't even done that. But talk about learning from all kinds of different places, even kids' science shows. I was like, why did I not learn this in science? Did they try to teach me and I just wasn't paying attention? I'm not sure. But there was a day where he was talking about battery power, batteries and power, and how it is storing energy to release. He created a spool racer, SPOOL, spool racer. So like those big industrial electric cable spools, and he created this racer with it where you pulled it back and created that kinetic energy. You're pulling in the potential energy to then let it go. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is such a great analogy for what we really need to do to create some flow in our lives. We need to pull it back to have some stored energy to then release. I was like, oh, that was brilliant. So I loved that. That was fantastic. So the takeaway from that is you can learn really from anywhere on anything and be able to apply it to your life. So finally get to September, and I have a conference that I go to pretty regularly. And this conference, I was actually kind of sort of auditioning to become a facilitator for their academy. Well, I didn't make it. I wasn't the one chosen. And there was 4 of us, I think, vying for it. So I wasn't like the only one that was not chosen. But the feedback that I got from those that were making the decision, not the audience, but those that were making the decision, they're like, the 2 main points, basically, I'm going to bottom line it. How I took it was one, my attire was not professional enough, and my conversation within my presentation was not professional enough. So those were 2 out of 3 of the comments. The other was that I missed my timing, which I already knew I had a little too much in the presentation. As far as data goes, and I was trying to hit all of the slides, but my engagement level in the room was so high, it took up the extra time. So to me, I would much rather the audience to have a great experience versus me getting graded well, if that makes sense. So the audience had a great experience. They tell me they had a great experience. I just didn't get chosen for a couple of reasons. So kind of why on this podcast right now, I have one of my Christmas t-shirts on. So if you are watching it, you see it's a t-shirt, but I'm going to tell you this, it's stitched, and it says hangry on it. And I love this t-shirt because this has pretty much been my mood for a while. Can't wait to go back to Disney with this shirt. Because I also feel like especially for small business, we know we don't take ourselves that seriously. We know when to show up and we know when to not worry about it. And most of the time we just don't worry about it. If you can't take us as who we are, then you're not our person. It's kind of that simple. I can't please everybody. Not going to please everybody. So, the learning that I don't fit in that box. I kind of don't fit in a box, period. So, learning lessons. So on one hand, I was validated very well that I do know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I can train really, really well. People love the experience with me training and speaking, but I don't always fit everybody's mold. Like if you want something that is super, super corporate-y, I am not your girl. But if you want something real and just to the point and kind of fun while we're at it, call me. I got space on my calendar for that. So getting towards that, I should always, by the time Q4 hits, I should have learned something insightful about, and it feeds into my word of the year because it's usually starting to come to fruition. Well, I've been trying to make it a point to start early on coming to fruition because I want to experience the benefit of the word all year long. So that's why better is great, because I could be better every day and it's going to be awesome. But I did discover that I have been, because of my own story of, well, just struggle, like adversity and struggle and tumultuous times. I'm finally in a place of, okay, I have some structure. I know I can build from here, and I have a team that's going to help me. We're getting systems in place. Like everything seems to be able to be organized if it's not already organized, and we can grow from here. This is a really good, healthy place to be. I love where I am with the business. But what I discovered is I have been playing defense for years. Been playing it safe, playing defense. Somebody's always ahead of me. Somebody's always got the ball and running ahead. I'm like, damn it. Why am I playing defense? Because what got me there is I would be working on my work, right? I'm still at that stage where I am working on project work within my business. I'm working on getting out of that. That includes, having more time with my team. But because I do project work, and there was that period of time I was out sick with COVID, and so I wasn't able to be out and out front. And this is why I didn't have 52 episodes this year. It just kind of happened as I could get it to happen. When I am taken out of the business, I get behind. I mean, it just makes sense. But for every week I'm behind, every week I'm out, I'm at least a month to 2 months behind in momentum now for my business. So this is why, working with my team, the business should be able to run even if I'm not in it. And this is what I help my clients get to, so that they can actually take vacations and it doesn't halt business momentum. So I'm doing the same thing for myself that I've been working with my clients to do. And part of that learning of being on defense all the time is like, this is no longer acceptable behavior. So what do I need to do? Well, you write out a list. What does it look like to be on the offense instead of the defense? Because I'm sitting at home sick watching my competitors just rock it. They're doing a great job. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Now, understand. Number one, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't get wrapped up into the comparison trap. And two, social media is just snapshots, sound bites of possibly a bigger picture. We don't get the full picture of everything going on. I don't know how long it took them to actually pull that off. It could have taken them 6 months to pull off what they're showing off in that one day. So I immediately start to remind myself of those things. But the initial feeling and the reaction that I had to myself, I'm sharing with you now, was, damn it. So no longer damn it, I'm playing on the offense. And I write out a list of what that looks like for me. And it could be anything of having a feeling of perfect timing. That's on the offense. While I do have in my list some tactical things, I also have the qualitative feeling. Like, I want to feel like this. When I'm feeling like this, then I know I'm on the offense. When these things are happening, I know I'm on the offense. And another reminder of that as I move through my journal notes here is that, what got me to wanting to choose the word better was a message from Stephen Furtick, who is another pastor somewhere in the South. And his sermon was about having the better question. And I only made one note from that entire sermon, and it was, don't limit your potential to someone else's limiting belief. I've talked a lot in this episode about, my own limiting beliefs and how do we check our thoughts, like think about what you're thinking about. And I'm all about being strategic, thinking strategically, and then applying that to an actual plan of action, a strategic plan of action. So you're focusing on the best things first, like setting those priorities, blah, 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 all that stuff. But we hardly ever think about how somebody else's limiting belief has limited me I've allowed that for a long time. Somebody else's limiting belief. So such as, because when I think about just going back to having this feedback that I didn't dress professionally enough. Like I needed to have one more level up professional look. Now look, I was, first of all, fully clothed. I had on tuxedo pants. I had on a blouse. I had on a jacket over top of that. Now the jacket was not a blazer, but it was just a thin athletic jacket over a fancy blouse, tuxedo pants, and Wonder Woman chucks. That's what was neat. I'm positive that's what was not really that acceptable. Neither here nor there. But the limiting belief that I have to look a specific way to be taken seriously, that's on them. That's not on me. Because for me to bring my full self to a stage or in front of the room for hours at a time, you ain't going to catch me in 6-inch heels. That shit is not going to happen. So if I'm basing my entire wardrobe off of the shoes I can wear, I'm going to go with those chucks every time because I can walk in those. I can jump in those. If I have to, I can run in those. I'd rather not, but I could be more energetic, and I can be comfortable that I know I'm not going to break a leg or fall unless I'm just that clumsy in a day. Who knows? Okay. But somebody else's limiting belief. I am also a bigger woman. Right now, I have more on me than I care to have, and I'm working on that. So I don't need comments from you on weight loss programs. My doctor and I are working on this. But it's still also a limiting belief that I have to be a size 0 in 6-inch heels to be taken seriously in a dress, right? And I need to have my hair perfectly coiffed and perfectly dressed, styled, and it needs to be in curls or up or whatever. Like there is an image out there that it apparently by research is taken more seriously, but that is a limiting belief because look, I bring the energy to the room. You're gonna listen to me whether you like it or not. And if you stuck with me this long in this episode, thank you. I appreciate you tremendously. But as I hit my last day of 2021, my last entry into my journal of 21, I wrote that so much can happen in a day. So much. But I said, not here. I've been at the computer all day working on an After Effects project for my websites, but for others. So why would I even write that? I'm like, because if I am so stuck in my own head and my own space, I'm not engaging with the energy around me. I'm not engaging with others around me. I'm not learning to be more attentive to others and their needs. To be able to take a moment to celebrate with my friend who calls out of the blue to say, guess what we just did at the Chamber? So Chamber of St. Matthews, who has been my sponsor partner with this podcast over the past couple of years, we have just exceeded 1,400 members. I believe that makes us the biggest in town, which is awesome because we are a fantastic Chamber of Commerce. And he called me and I celebrated that with him. That's a big deal. I had a friend who unfortunately had to put their dog to sleep. Betty White passed away. Kidding me. That was a big day. My mama got a raise from Social Security. She got way more money in her account than she thought she was going to. It made her happy. She was excited. Other friends who had people who were in the hospital. I've had all in one day. Birthdays, births, deaths, celebrations, frustrations, drama. Like there are so much that can happen in one day that's bigger than just me. And so that's why I want to get better at being with others, being with my guests, being with my clients, being with my team, being with my friends, and yes, even my family. So I joke about my family. I like my family, but they all know, like, I'm so different than my family. They all know. They know. They know. That's why I've got a hangry t-shirt for Christmas. They know. So I want to wrap up this episode by telling you thank you sincerely. If you are a regular listener to these podcasts, to this show, get my words together, because I'm being sincere. Thank you from the bottom of my heart that you are participating with me in this show, because I am talking to you, that you are the one I'm doing this for. I get a lot out of it, yes, and I think it's cool that I get to interview so many awesome people, but I'm doing this because I want to provide value to you. Please let me know if that's working. And thank you so much for the time that you've given, and I hope that you get value out of it, that you can apply to your own life and business and career development and whatever the case may be. Be able to share with other people. Please don't keep us a secret. Please let other people know that we're here, we exist. I would like to be one of those, higher ranked podcasts. That'd be great. But we are a business podcast, so it's hard. Look, I am not naive to think that you wouldn't rather be listening to somebody who gets drunk and talks about history. I get it. Totally get it. I'm not near as entertaining as that. But I will try to find new ways to make it more entertaining for you if that's what you prefer. Because I do want you to continue to check out these episodes. Other things that I've learned throughout the year, I will continue to share as we move along into a better 2022. So connect with me. I'd love to know, what word did you pick for this year? What word did you have last year? What were some key things that you have learned? And of course, if you have a guest idea, please send them along. I'd love to get to know more people out there and share their stories of business and what they've learned, what their biggest idea for success is, best advice they've ever received. It's one of my favorite questions to ask. Best piece of advice you've ever received. And oh my God, after having 6 days with my mom, best piece of advice I've ever received, I wouldn't even know. Like, fully prepare for a trip with a total opposite. That's a good one. But for some reason, what keeps coming to my mind is Leroy Jethro Gibbs on NCIS has a ton of rules, right? A ton of rules, but always carry a knife. You wouldn't believe how many times you actually need a knife for something. And it keep coming up. And my mom would pull out this little bitty knife. She's like, here, I got a knife. Of course you do, Mom. It's like, I'm going to need to get a knife. So share some advice that you've ever received from people that you've applied. You're like, yeah, that's really good advice. Yeah. My advice to you for 22 is get to know yourself and others even more, and how to navigate this world this year. So with that, thank you again for your time for these episodes. It is absolutely my pleasure to do these. I love it. And I'm also going to have an opportunity for you or someone you may know to be able to sponsor Small Business Small Talk in 22. Be on the lookout for that information. If you're interested, please contact me to let me know. I'm more than happy to work out a plan with you. And remember, smallbusinesssmalltalk.com is where you can find all of the episodes. Connect with us on any of the other social channels, including Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, that's it right now. Instagram, because look, it's hard to keep up with everything. So we have the website, Instagram, Facebook. You can listen to us on Spotify. We're on YouTube. I think that's plenty for the moment, unless I got some volunteers that want to help get it out even more. Yeah, I know. I already heard it. So with that, again, final Southern goodbye. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Small Business Small Talk. I have been your host, Christy Smallwood.